First thing we're gonna do is start with a game. I'm gonna put a clock up for. We'll start at 3 minutes, and then we'll kind of go from there. The game is gonna be one person standing, one person seated. I'm not gonna give you any particular instructions yet outside of this. The whole goal for the standing person is to put you on your back. And the whole goal for you, if you're seated, is to not let him put you on your back. If he puts you on your back, you reset and you start again. All right. Any questions on that?
Can you say everything again?
Yes, I can say everything again. The game we're starting with. That was serious, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's serious.
I'm sorry. It's my headache. Oh.
Game we're starting with is I have a standing opponent. His whole goal is to put my back on the mat. All right. And my whole goal is to not let him go. By any means necessary. Okay.
Is it a certain time?
I'm not trying to sleep him.
Shoulder blades touch, it's over.
When my shoulders hit the mat, we're gonna reset. Okay.
That's it.
When both shoulders hit the mat, even if it's just for a second, we're just gonna reset, sit back up, restart. We're not looking for a pass, and I'm not looking to sweep or enter the legs, any of that kind of stuff. Okay. I'm literally just trying to maintain a seated guard. And you can make connections with him, right? If he starts to come in, like I can't make connections with him, but I'm not looking necessarily to sweep him. Okay. I want to let him particularly, the focus of the work is for him to try to put me on my back right now. All right. So we're here to serve the top guy right now. All right. All right. 1, 2, 3.
We're also watching at the same time.
Hey, okay. Was that just bad cardio or any observations from that? Was that fun, helpful? Like
Grab their ankles and
grab the ankles? Yeah.
because they can't. I mean, if you have their ankles above their, up in the air, they can't really. It's just gonna be a consistent crunch, an ab crunch. For them to,
X pass.
X pass.
Yeah, he started on me. That's why.
X pass?
Yeah.
Nice.
I guess to get both shoulders down, like the diagonal pressure you talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. Does anyone not know the X pass? I don't think I remember that one. Hit an X pass real quick. Any other observations? Okay. There's a purpose of the game. I'm just trying something new. But now I want to expound on a little bit of what we were doing, and then we're going to play the game again. Okay. So first off, we're talking about passing guard today. When we are passing, especially if you guys have gone against anybody with a good guard, it can be really frustrating. There's one particular guard I've been trying to pass for 7 years, and it's quite difficult. And I've never gotten past. I guess once, kind of.
I did
Anyway,
it 3 times, and he won't count it because I didn't stabilize after it.
yeah.
He's like, "Oh, you can stay there."
Well, I didn't stabilize either. I went straight to a Dars.
He just won't let you count it. That's all.
Um,
We did it. We did it.
All right. So anyway, the whole thing, we are like, if Chad stands up and we start a match like this, we're both standing, we're both like equally mobile, right? He sits down, I'm standing. I just gained a mobility advantage, right? Like I am way more mobile and able to cut angles much quicker than him. Now he can still be really offensive and he can even advance and he is still somewhat mobile, right? We've seen like the butt scoots of terror, right? Like Mike was eventually just like, right? We've seen all that. So he can be offensive from here, right? But I already have an advantage, and a lot of especially good guard players, they love playing seated guard, right? He can be very offensive and enter my legs if I'm not careful with my stance here. But when I finally put him on his back, supine guard, when he's playing off his back, he's the least mobile here. Like without getting on your elbows, just flat on your back. How is he going to advance towards me at any kind of threatening pace, right? he can start doing like reverse hip escapes at me, right? So this is not always true because some people have like really good supine guard, and you'd rather just go against a seated guard. But generally speaking, if I can put him on his back, I'm going to gain a massive advantage in terms of mobility because now I can be the initiator. I can determine when and where we're going to initiate contact and start the sequence, start the exchange, right? He can't just like, if he's seated up, he can start to advance on me and take grips of his own. If he's on his back, it's much harder for him to do this, right? I have to come to him. Now he can start establishing grips, right? He can start establishing connection. So number one is that, and let's see, where was I going with that shit? Lost my train of thought there. Oh, the other thing, the other advantage I have here is if he gets a grip I don't like, right? He's cuffing my, yes, maybe he's cuffing my my ankle. I feel like he's threatening, right? He's right here, he's hooking my knee, on the hip, whatever. I always have the ability to say timeout and disengage, right? If he gets a scoop or an overhook grip here, right? I can always point my toes, high leg out of there, disengage for a second, reset. I've got this ability to, as long as he doesn't actually have like strong connection where I can't get away, like people like Nick who have really good sticky hooks, it's really hard to get away from them once they have you. But even Nick, right? Even a really good guard player, there's still ways before he's actually broken my posture. There's still hope and there's still like opportunity for me to start getting out of here, right? I can either high leg out of here or I can flee the mat. So let's see. The main thing I want to talk about here is, first off, the thing I wanted to convey here was fighting somebody on their back is going to, generally speaking, give us an advantage. Secondly, in terms of guard passing. Secondly, now that he's on his back, we have to figure out what are the things that he wants in order to retain his guard, right? So first off, for me as top player, he always wants to be in line, square with me, aligned, right? His head opposite me. He wants to be able to start getting his feet involved, his hands involved. Okay, he wants to start establishing connection with me. I want us, as much as possible, to be at angles. I want the soles of his feet pointed away from me. Okay, because this fundamental guard passing, like something that's just always true, is if I can occupy the space between his knee and his elbow, I'm past his guard, right? Or I'm very likely to secure a pass, right? Right here, of course, he can explode and he can start to recover, but the job is like 80% done at this point. I have his knees pointed away and I'm occupying his hip line. So unless he recovers and gets his knee and his elbow connected, he's gonna have a really hard time stopping the pass, okay? So the thing that precedes me getting control of his hip line, control of his real estate, is me making his body perpendicular to mine, right? If he wants to be in alignment with me, I want to cut an angle on him. That makes sense? Lastly, from his point of view, the things that make me vulnerable here when he's on his back, when he's seated, he can start to get grips on my head. He can get decent grips on my elbows, things like this. Or if I start coming down to match head level, now he can really start to load me, butterfly guard, all that kind of good stuff. But when he's on his back, the only things he can really meaningfully grip are my legs, which is really, really good for him because he can start manipulating my balance. But he's going to have a really hard time establishing any kind of meaningful contact with my upper body. But at most, he's going to grab a hand, right? Which isn't going to be super effective, right? They're going to easily start to strip these things. The things that are going to give me trouble down here when someone's playing a supine guard is him attacking my legs. Particularly, he wants to attack my ankles, my knees, and my hips. So if he can be on the back side of my knees, the back side of my ankles, and the front sides of my hips, this is where he can be really threatening in terms of sweeps, entering the legs, all that good stuff. Okay. So fundamentally, when I'm attacking this guard, my main objective is to cut an angle. But before I do that, as I approach this guy, I have to remember the things that make him most threatening is his grips on my legs. He does those with his hands. He establishes those with his hands and his feet. So as we start playing, he's on his back. My first goal is to get control of the feet at the end of the lever, not way up here, right? At the end of the lever. Okay, and here is where we can start to deny his ability to put his feet inside my knees or on my hips, right? So as he starts to get active, go ahead. As long as I can control these feet, I get a significant advantage. Okay, but I've got to make sure I keep control of these feet. And now you see how we're cutting, where his feet are pointed away from me. Okay, if you were to treat these like a loaded gun, the soles of the feet, you never want them pointed at you. You want them pointed away. Okay. I got a few other things, but I don't want to give you too much. So we're going to play the same game, but I am going to give you 2 quick ways of putting them on their back real quick, and we're going to play the same game. All right. So first off, we're playing in a seated guard. If his feet are really close together like this, I'm not really going to be able to like get in here safely without him starting to enter my legs. Okay, a good guard player. So maybe not Chad, right? But all right, but as I start to approach him, if I can start cutting angles, right? If he does nothing, right, I'm going to pass the guard. But as he starts to square up, his feet will separate. Okay. At this point, I can step in, both hands go on the chest, and then I'm literally going to shove him to the shoulders. And now we're playing supine. Okay. Second one I'll give you. We come in, start matching our head height. I start to give him a good push on the shoulders, but he gets strong. And then I quickly transition to feet and put him on his back there. Okay. There's a couple others, but I, again, don't want to give you too much. I want you to play the same game with the idea of how can I get inside this guy's legs safely without him establishing grips on my legs and get them either shove him or match head height and send him on his way with the legs. Okay. Questions on that?
So in the first one, whenever you said don't put your foot in between his legs,
Mhm.
but then you did something and then you put it in there. What did you do to do that?
So right here, if he's in a good like static position here, he's ready. And if I just step in here, it's gonna be really hard for me to step over the feet and get back here and deny him a good meaningful connection to my knee here. Right? If he gets an elbow deep grip, he can start entering ashigarami, or he can start setting up like a wrestle up, like a single or something like that. So I don't want to just I want to make sure he's having to react to me before I start stepping into his legs. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if I'm here and I start cutting his angle, I'm looking for him to have to react to me as I start coming to the outside. Then I can come inside.
So you have him all off balance as the
Yeah, he can't just immediately scoot my knees like he could if he's just sitting there and I just step in, right?
so preferably one arm is posted back. Where
Yeah, I ideally and the space between his feet ideally is opened up as much as possible. And then when I step in, I'm not just stepping in, like I'm stepping in and I'm shoving. Like it's not super it's not like finesse. It's not like super technical. It's just it's a good football shove. That's it. Any questions on the other one? Let's play the same game with just those 2 things in mind. And the idea of if I'm on top, he wants to control my ankles, my knees, and my hips. Right? I want to control his feet. He wants to be in line with me. I want to be perpendicular. Okay? We're going to play the same exact game. Nothing's changing, but just keep those things in mind now. All right. All right. 1, 2, 3. Anything different than last time you played? Did anyone succeed more than they did last time? Yeah. Okay. All right. So one more note on that, and then we're going to move on, is just a rule of thumb if we're playing a game like this, or if we're going live and we're trying to get somebody on their back so we can immobilize them more, so we can gain a mobility advantage. The whole rule of thumb here is if Chad gets real strong, just look at it that way. Look at the wall, get real strong, like you're going to play. Yeah, see how his head's forward, even in front of his hips, right? Turn a little bit. See how his head's kind of up here, his hips are here, right? He's really strong in terms of being able to resist me, right? He keeps his head, he go forehead here, and he can hold me up for a while, okay? But he gets a little weaker when his head gets above his hips, and then the sweet spot where he's timber, he's going to fall as soon as his head gets here, okay? If he's not able to move his legs right now, right? he's gonna go for a ride. Just might take a second, right? He's gonna get all strong with his core. But the whole idea is gravity's on our side once their head has broken this hip line, this vertical plane right here. Okay. So now our rule of thumb, if we're trying to put somebody on their back, is how do I get his head while his hips are square on the mat, right? It's a little different if he's already on a hip, okay? But while he's on his butt, how do I get his head behind his hips, right? And work backwards from there. If like you're trying to create stuff, you know, rather than like just showing, like doing the moves that I'm showing you, you're just trying to cook yourself, become a chef yourself. That's the goal. How do I get the head behind the hips? Okay. This is the same. Yeah, go ahead.
Besides grabbing his feet and throwing him to one of the sides, is there a way to stop it, like like him posting? Or is there a way to like trap one of them or something?
Well, we're in front of him because
Oh, okay.
his arms are they're never in reach of us, right?
Yeah.
When we start cutting angles, absolutely. Right? Because like
Yeah.
here, it's not possible that I'm ever going to be able to reach his arms,
Mhm.
right? But if I start cutting angles and he starts building to, yes, from here though, I actually have a way, I have the ability to at least make an upper body connection with him. So I can start getting in here and getting it back to the ground. So it just kind of depends like where he is. But if he's aligned with us, there's no way, like it's just not possible for me to reach his arms.
Yeah.
In the street, you have to think about this, if he's posting, that's not a weapon anymore.
Yeah.
So it's
Great point.
kind of a win. His arms are busy, they can't hurt you, they can't even grab into the knee line or any of that.
Or a weapon.
It's not
Yeah.
a bad thing, they're occupied. It's like when somebody's trying to do something on top, they're choking and they got both hands, and I'm hollering, but buck, move, throw your hips. He will let go, he doesn't want to post on his face. So one of those hands is gonna come out. Now he's not as much of a throw the choke he was doing. So it's not bad. It's just, he ain't gonna go, it maybe Josh can't with his long arms.
So we can do a couple of other, I guess like specific ways to get him on his shoulders, but I really just wanted to first, outside of the two I already gave you, I'm just gonna leave you with that rule of thumb, because we're gonna play this game again on Thursday. And I want you to figure out how do I get the guy's head to be behind his hips. Okay. And always also apply this same principle like when we're standing, or even when I'm playing butterfly guard, if Chad is kneeled in front of me. Like the whole idea of a snap down, whether we're standing or we're in butterfly, is can I get I need to read his head, and if it's in front of his hips, that's his snap down territory, right? And if he's like postured up, sitting on his hips or even behind, this is push him over territory, right? Well, it's teep territory, right? You just can't teep in jiu-jitsu, so you're just like, you gotta be careful. But play with, because it's the same concept, like somebody's balance. It's all when we were doing X guard a while back, like last month, right? When they're way harder for me to move and manipulate when their head's above their hips. But as soon as I can make their head start tilting in front of their hips, now it's way easier for me to put their hands on their mat, right? So their posture or their center of gravity is going to follow their head. So there's like a core concept for you to think about. All right, next, kind of what we were talking about a second ago. If I have Chad trying to pass, stand up. Right here, we're gonna play another game from Supine, okay? And I'm gonna start with whatever lower body configuration you want, okay? Wherever you want to put your feet, put them wherever you want. And then you'll slap and bump and you go live, okay? The whole thing I want you to think about, if you're a top player, is how do I get rid of whatever connection he has, whether it's on my ankles, my knees, or my hips, any of this stuff. And then also, once you've cleared connection, how do I prevent him from getting it again? Like right now, how does Chad prevent me from making contact to his hips, his knees, or his ankles? Right? It's a good start. Right? Not good enough. Right? So we're gonna play again, this time back to just 2-minute rounds. One person going the whole time, we'll switch on the bell. Then we'll circle up again, and then we'll do one more round. Cool. Questions?
What's the goal?
Oh, sorry. The goal. Thank you. Your bottom player, your goal is to establish connection however you want and keep yourself lined up. Your job on top, you want to make yourselves not in a line and maintain that for as long as possible without passing. Make sense? Here. Please. So once I actually clear these hooks and I start to come inside, get inside position here, I want him, if you're on bottom, you need to be thinking about how do I get squared back up with this guy. My job is gonna be to keep this angle for as long as possible by any means necessary without fully passing. Okay, so as I come around the corner, he starts kind of doing highlight. Right there, we're just trying to hold that angle for as long as possible. Okay, once he breaks contact from you, squares back up with you, or if you accidentally pass, whatever, just reset. Cool. All right, 1, 2, 3. What's up?
Was it infinity?
No, I sent you some.
Observations from that game? What was particularly hard, or what did you feel like you had success with?
Staying in line is really, really hard.
Staying in line is hard, yeah.
It's harder for them to move around you if you like get one of their legs, like their ankle, on your neck. Because then, even if they turn, you just like you can turn. They just basically turn you with them.
Can you show us what you mean?
Like
Me down or
like put it this. There's some like
Oh, right. Like you're almost X guard there, just gonna take a knee on the other side. Yeah, and then to the far hip. Yeah, and then you can switch to K guard from there again, which is maybe what you were doing. How are you squaring back up from there? Like, can you show us how?
well, if you would like start moving like that, and then just get switch again,
Yep.
and then just keep going.
Did y'all see that? He switched from one side, like K guard / X guard sort of went to the other side of ribbing. His that brought his back leg forward. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
Good idiot.
it's kind of cute. Watching.
Watch Chad's back leg. And then watch Tucker's left knee in a second. Yeah, go ahead. So yeah, and then if Tucker were to bring it all the way out, he'd be back in a Rimiyashi, which is what happened the first time. That's great. Anything else?
Top person, I found like an arm. Oh, this is that's off the back. I was talking about like from seated guard, like getting like you get a foot and a hand, and like kind of like use X pass.
Yeah. Yeah, like a combination of the like leg lift and the shove.
It's better if you get like a
That
cross.
was the third thing I was gonna show y'all, but I didn't show you like using both.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Did everybody understand what you just said?
Will you demonstrate?
Yeah. You did.
So if you're fighting, you get like a hand. Or just kind of doing this, walk them flat.
You don't see my shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it makes sense.
Initially, that's a little bit like cross pressure, like diagonal control.
What's
If you have a foot in opposing hand, sort of like cross, diagonal.
Yeah, well, we can do it again and try to do it slow, but I'm not gonna resist.
Or you get wrist.
Watch. Go ahead. What if I told y'all, I know at least a few of you should know this. What if I told you about like fundamental guard retention or like escaping a pin? Like what's the one of the
Knee to elbow.
knee elbow, right? What's he doing right now? Separating these.
Separating knee and elbow.
He's driving my knee and my elbow away from each other.
So instead of being diagonal, you want it to be on the same side. Like
What's that?
your right arm and your right leg, you want pin. You don't want
In
your,
this case, yeah, you don't want to, I mean, it's not really that useful for him to be pulling this leg.
And I thought the first time he grabbed up.
I did. I was going for the inside foot.
Okay. my bad.
So, but like, I mean, you're right too, though. Like, even if it's not the far leg, like fundamentally what's happening there is still like, it's not diagonal control, but it is like separating the thing that I need to occupy this real estate, which is knee elbow connection.
Yeah.
Right. So anytime that's another one of those things, like we just talked about, those things are always true, like a fact, like if I can get his head behind his hips, I'm probably gonna be able to get his shoulders to the mat, right? It's always true. Or it's always true that it's likely going to happen. It's also always true it's likely going to happen that I'm gonna retain my guard if I can make my knee and my elbow touch. Or I'm gonna escape side control or mount if I can make my knee and my elbow touch. Right? Then, like working off of rules, it's helpful for me. Because then, like, instead of just showing you moves, because it's like I'm not the move guy. Like I just kind of think about rules. Any other observations? Let's do. I want to specifically talk about denying his grips real quick. So if we come in here and Chad establishes a grip on my ankle, first off, I don't ever. Oh, sorry, supine. All right, sit her up. All right. So I don't want to just like, unless it's just part of your game plan, you like want to explore this. Generally speaking, let's not just let him grab our ankles, right? We don't want him grabbing or controlling our ankles, our knees, or our hips, with any meaningful connection. Like we don't make it wanting him. We want to deny those connections. So it needs to start being a reflex. We probably should develop some games around this too, where as soon as someone's grabbed my ankle, I'm already starting to high step out of there, right? I'm already getting out of there. When I say high step, this is a specific thing we do because right now, if Chad has a good grip on my ankle, right? If I go back, I'm going into where it's strong, right? So for me to clear this grip, I can kind of point my toes, turn my foot inward, and then specifically, like this is gonna weaken his grip on my ankle because I'm bringing my heel up, and I'm specifically going to put my head over my other leg, weight this leg so it's easy to lift. And then I'm going to, as I'm turning my foot inward, I'm going to high leg, like high step, and step all the way back. Okay. I'm exaggerating right now, and I'm doing that because what I don't want you to do is do this, do everything right, and do right back to there where he just regrabs it immediately. Okay. So when I want to load my head over my other hip so that this leg becomes weightless, point the toes. It's all at the same time. Here, point the toes, turn the foot in, bring my knee to my chest, and back step. Okay. If he has a grip under the bottom, right? Now it's not super like necessary to be turning. That's not really gaining us anything. Now instead, we're going to go forward with our foot, and then high step. Okay. So if he's got a scoop grip, we're going to go forward and out and high step. He's got a over grip. We're going to point our toes, turn it inside, put our head over this other leg here, bring the knee to the chest, and back step. That makes sense? Let's go do a few reps of just those. Everybody do like 10. Do some combinations of overhook, underhook. And then we'll do one more game and we'll call it there. But let's actually specifically drill the high step, because then when we're live, as soon as we come in here and we slap the bump and he's supine, as soon as he establishes the grip, like I want to even feel it coming before it's there, right? Also, we need to be mindful. He's gonna just switch to the other one if he's a good guard player. Okay. So the other thing you can do, depending on the angle, right now my angle is like, it's probably easier for me to just turn out, right? So the other thing you can do from this position is knee forward and inward, and then just step away. Okay. But again, anytime we leave a leg behind against a good guard player, expect they're going to be coming for the other one. Okay. So this is why a lot of this time you'll see like when if I come in, I high step out, he goes here, I'm already ready for it. Okay. So you'll see a lot of like some matches I've actually seen like, yeah, because they're just chasing. So let's do that. Let's do 10 apiece, and then we're going to play the same game again with those concepts, just looking to deny the feet connection and the hand connection, high steps, all that good stuff. And we'll call it. You good, bro?
Yeah.
You look, you need some water?
Got some.
All right.
Take it.
All right. Cool. All right. 1, 2, 3.